Coming up on Cronkite NewsWatch.
It's one of the more shameful chapters that I have seen in the years that I've spent here in the Senate.
As the clock nears midnight, we'll bring you the latest on the debt ceiling debate and the fight to reopen the government from Washington.
Plus, the National Park Service was on Capitol Hill today voicing concerns over the continuing federal shutdown.
And how a decision today from the city of Phoenix could affect local businesses and even your shopping habits.
In-depth, insightful, innovative. Cronkite NewsWatch starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite NewsWatch. I'm Ashton Bacola.
And I'm Marcus Espinoza. Thanks for joining us.
There are now less than 5 hours before the United States government reaches the deadline to raise the debt ceiling. If no official agreement is made by midnight in Washington, the country will default on its debt obligations for the first time in history.
That's right, but negotiations between the Senate and House of Representatives have been ongoing throughout the day, and optimism appears to be in the air.
Yeah, reporter Shane Dwyer has been working on the story and joins us now from Washington, D.C. Shane?
Ashton and Marcus, optimism is the right state of mind. Now, news came from Capitol Hill this morning that a bipartisan bill has been put down on the table and that the federal government could reopen potentially tomorrow. Now, it took 16 days and multiple trips between the House and Senate, but a deal was announced on the Senate floor earlier this afternoon. If passed, the agreement would allow the government to reopen and hundreds of thousands of federal employees to go back to work. Even though the United States is just hours away from potentially running out of cash, some lawmakers are still not happy with the deal.
Today, the answer is the United States Senate and the Washington establishment is doing nothing to provide relief for the millions of people who are hurting because of Obamacare.
I think it's obvious that we are now seeing the end of this agonizing odyssey that this body has been put through, but far more importantly, the American people have been put through. It's one of the more shameful chapters that I have seen in the years that I've spent here in the Senate.
Now, the agreement still needs to clear a vote in both the House and the Senate before anything happens. But if the deal does pass, the federal government will reopen through January 15th, 2014. It agrees to raise the debt limit through February 7th, 2014, and it calls for a budget conference by December 13th, 2013 to discuss a long-term spending plan. Now, the agreement would also officially open parks and national landmarks all across the country, including those like the Grand Canyon in Arizona. Reporter John Genovese continues our team coverage on the national parks debate from the U.S. Capitol.
A House committee hearing sparking some heated moments today on Capitol Hill. For over 5 hours, both Republican and Democratic members of Congress questioned a panel of 6 witnesses on how the National Park Service responded to the federal government shutdown.
6 Ps, prior planning prevents piss poor performance.
Tucson Mayor Greg Bryan says those 6 Ps could have prevented a 7th, problems that hit his small town when the Grand Canyon was closed.
In my business, I had to plan for a shutdown. I'm the mayor, but I'm also a hotelier.
Tucson is just 6 miles from the canyon's south rim, and the town depends on tourism. In addition to being mayor, Bryan manages a hotel where he says business plummeted during the closure. On Wednesday, Bryan testified on Capitol Hill about the National Park Service's response to the federal government shutdown. Park Service Director Jonathan Jarvis, who also served as a witness, faced tough questions during the hearing.
For 10 days, the Park Service refused to work with our local governments.
Congressman Paul Gosar, who serves on the Natural Resources Committee, shared in Mayor Bryan's frustration.
You were unprepared for that dictation. That's part of leadership. And I find it offensive that there was 10 days of absolutely no, 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 and no.
However, Congressman Raul Grijalva, who also sits on the committee, believes the hearing was a way for Republicans to shift blame away from themselves.
There's a preparedness plan that you must now put together so you minimize bad publicity for members, so that special parks in their areas are left open, so there's not any public criticism.
Publicity stunt or not, Mayor Bryan hopes the Grand Canyon and Tucson will stay open for business.
I think there's a certain amount of concern with regard to, can our government get its act together? Can they really come to an agreement? Is this going to happen again in 5 months? Is it going to happen again in 3 weeks?
Jonathan Jarvis was subpoenaed to that hearing, and now some members of the committee have vowed to request more documents from the National Park Service to be released. On Capitol Hill, I'm John Genovese, Cronkite News.
And while lawmakers in Washington were hearing concerns from the National Park Service over the shutdown, Governor Jan Brewer was here deciding whether to continue using state funds to keep the Grand Canyon open to visitors. Last week, the governor made a call to reopen the Grand Canyon using non-federal funds. The money currently being used is coming from a range of sources, including private donors.
I thought that it would behoove us to move forward and pick up the job that the feds won't do or can't do, and we're going to continue down that path until we find resolution to the best of our ability.
And when asked why the Grand Canyon was the only park in the state to receive funding, Brewer called it, quote, the diamond of Arizona.
And now an update to a story we brought you earlier this month. Phoenix City Council is set to vote today on whether to repeal half of the city's 2% food tax. If they decide to do this, a 1% food tax would be in place until January of 2015. Our reporter Leah Durfee joins us with details of how the decision could affect local businesses. Leah?
The council is taking up the issue at their regularly scheduled meeting this afternoon. They are expected to hear comments from the public first and then vote. If they do decide to cut the food tax, residents we talked to said they will be sad. They will not be sad to see it go.
Decreasing Arizona's food sales tax is a no-brainer for one grocery store shopper.
We need relief, not more taxation.
And that is what the city council wants to do. By cutting the food tax in half, at least one city council member says Arizona's economy will benefit.
Once we remove the food tax, then we're on a path of fiscal responsibility and fiscal accountability.
The food sales tax has been controversial from the start, but the city council worked together to come up with this plan.
But we reached across the aisle to come up with a compromise.
A compromise that some shoppers we talked to believe is worth it.
With the way that the economy is right now, with prices going up, but nobody's wages going up, I think that it would be good to lower that.
Though shoppers may save money, the manager at one convenience store said small businesses probably won't see much of an increase in sales.
For the big businesses like Fry's, Walmart, they will get more businesses because of the sales tax going down, because they have more food products than us.
The food tax helped the city during some tough economic times, but perhaps now its time has come.
If the cut passes as expected, shoppers will see a difference in their bills in January. The full tax is set to expire in 2015. Live in Phoenix, I'm Leah Durfee, Cronkite News.
Higher campaign contributions to state politicians running for office are now on hold. Lawmakers are looking to increase the fundraising caps on state and local races tenfold. A lawsuit was filed with the Arizona Supreme Court in seeking to block the bill from taking effect. The suit says lawmakers were wrong to raise campaign contribution limits without asking voters to approve the move. A temporary measure was issued late Tuesday by the State Court of Appeals, putting the increase on hold. Some candidates have already started fundraising for the 2014 elections with the higher limits in mind. The Secretary of State's office said candidates should continue to follow old contribution limits. An appeal back to Arizona Supreme Court is expected.
Set your alarms for 10:17 a.m. tomorrow morning. That's when students and other Arizonans across the state will take part in the Great Arizona Shakeout, a statewide earthquake drill. It is estimated that nearly 81,000 students, staff, and those working in government offices will take part in tomorrow's drill. This yearly event comes after Arizona's Emergency Preparedness Month in September.
The Palo Verde nuclear generating plant near Wintersburg has experienced a leak. Now, plant inspectors discovered this earlier last week. Officials say that there was no immediate threat to the public. The generator, which was closed for refueling on October 5th, will now take almost a month to reopen due to the leak. Palo Verde was already scheduled to be down for 1 month, and now officials are expecting that to be extended by another month.
A year-long investigation into auto thefts has led to dozens of arrests here in the Valley. Reporter Pierce Blyde joins us with details. Pierce?
Yeah, Marcus, the 15-month investigation was conducted by a joint task force made up by local, state, and federal authorities. It started with a car theft investigation, then they found that the case involved much more. This is video from a bus location that was part of the sting called Operation Tin Man. One of the sites they hit was a recycling plant called Hendricks Recycling at 9th Street and Broadway. Police believe this is where the entire operation was run out of. They began serving warrants at 8 this morning. Warrants were also served at several other spots in Phoenix, Tucson, and Coolidge. Officials say they thought they were just dealing with car thefts, but soon found the operation also dealt with drug trafficking.
And this should serve as a warning to anybody else who's either contemplating or currently engaged in widespread criminal activity. We're going to find out about it. We will catch you, and we will prosecute you.
Dozens were arrested this morning, and there still might be more arrests over the next few days. This is an ongoing investigation, and we will continue to stay on top of it. Live in the broadcast center, Pierce Bly, Cronkite News.
Coming up on NewsWatch.
Tell you about a school that takes learning from the classroom to the saddle and the fundraising that keeps it going.
And a healthier way to commute, Phoenix's master plan to keep the city more bike-friendly.
What if students could see and touch atoms or unlock the secrets of Stonehenge? Now they can. Introducing PBS Learning Media, a next-generation digital service from 8 that lets students dive deeper and changes how they learn. See how Arizona's largest classroom is helping to build the classroom of tomorrow today at az.pbslearningmedia.org. Are you a news junkie, history buff, science or nature lover? Then discover 8 World, an entire channel devoted to bringing the world home to Arizona. Watch 8 World on Cox 88 or over the air via antenna on 8.3. To find out how to tune into 8 World for your satellite or another cable provider, visit azpbs.org/world or call 602-496-2308. Discover your world.
When you support your PBS station, you're supporting possibilities. You're making sure there's a place for independent voices. You're opening children's minds. And you're giving everyone the chance to find inspiration from the arts. To discover more, be more. Support possibilities. Support your PBS station.
Navigating the streets of Phoenix can be dangerous. I found out how the city is working to make the streets more appealing to cyclists. Phoenix resident Maxwell Goshard bikes to work every day.
Well, getting there with biking and busing takes me about an hour.
And on that commute, he's had some near misses.
And there have been a couple times where someone has just not seen me and turned where I would have been, or they come out of nowhere.
Protecting people like Maxwell is a concern for the city of Phoenix. So it's proposing a bike master plan to make the city a more bike-friendly place.
Part of the plan is to reduce the barriers, improve safety.
This will be the first new bike plan in more than 20 years, and the city has gone through a lot of changes.
Because of the light rail, because of the downtown ASU campus, a lot more people are riding their bikes.
Because of these changes, the city of Phoenix set up a wiki mapping tool that asks Phoenicians to show where and how they bike in the city.
By mapping out their cycling routes, cyclists are better able to tell City of Phoenix officials what changes will benefit them the most.
Certainly we do want to know where people are riding now so that it's easier for us to attach new bike lanes to those routes.
And Maxwell hopes it will happen soon.
So if they want to advertise that you should really bike and bus, then they should make it a little easier.
An idea that both commuters and the city can agree on.
The City of Phoenix will hold 4 public meetings for input on the bike plan. The first one is on October 22nd.
Back in April, we introduced you to an innovative program at a school in Cave Creek that's using horses to help students. Cronkite News reporter Jamie Purvis found out the program is going so well, they got some much needed help to expand the program to even more students.
When we first visited Horseshoe Trails Elementary School, we found the students and teachers taking the learning from the classroom to the barn.
It's one of the funnest parts of school.
Now this program is working so well, it is drawing national attention, and many people are stepping up to help the program grow.
They make recommendations, and they recommended Horseshoe Trails, the terrific horsemanship program, for a $10,000 part of the endowment.
The program at Horseshoe Elementary costs about $22,000 to run, so this grant will be a big help to the school.
Without the grant funding, we would be in a constant fundraising mode, and that takes away from the integrity of the program.
But that doesn't mean the school doesn't fundraise with terrific quarter roundups.
And students are eligible to buy a tube of mini M&Ms, and they take them home and they eat them, and then they enjoy this tube, and then they fill it up with quarters, which is about $14.
The school knows it can't just rely on grants to keep funding coming in, so it continues to look for fun ways to fundraise for the program.
So our hope is this becomes that additional funding, but also is kind of fun for kids too. We just know that this is good for kids and it's good for our community.
It's very good, very good. In Cave Creek, Jamie Purvis, Cronkite News.
The Terrific Horsemanship Program is also a finalist for a $30,000 grant, and we'll find out within a week if they received it.
Coming up on Newswatch.
Ignoring a traffic ticket won't make it go away. We'll tell you what the county is doing to make offenders pay up.
Winds are picking up around the western part of our state, and we're seeing breezy conditions around parts of the valley. I'll let you know if the sunshine and 80s will continue through your weekend after the break.
How do we educate in a rapidly changing world?
How can we create a sustainable way of life?
How can we teach peace?
Arizona State University. Rise to the challenges before us.
Do you love taking pictures? Now you can share them with everyone. Join 8's online photo community that's all about you. Visit azpbs.org/capture for rules and information and start submitting today. When you want to be more connected, friend us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Watch us online.
Criminal violations, a county deputy may be looking for you. Investigative reporter Crystal Story tells us why.
Are you hoping those traffic tickets will just go away? Praying you won't get pulled over? Think again. These guys might be looking for you. Ignoring those fines can turn into a warrant for your arrest.
Let's see, I think we have to go south, don't we?
We found that more than $90 million is owed to Maricopa County from DUIs, speeding tickets, shoplifting, and suspended licenses. And the only way for the county to get that money back is to either pull you over or send out these guys. Deputies Brent McCleve and Arnold Cole are a part of the Maricopa County's Constable Warrants Division. They knock on doors, sometimes all day, hoping to regain some of the money owed to the county. And in the last 3 years, they've done just that.
Ring the doorbell, knock on the door.
Over $1.3 million has been paid back.
To get contact.
But as our investigations show, tens of thousands of people still owe taxpayers money.
I send the letters out first. We give them a period of about a week. After the period of 7 days, we will get all the files together for the guys.
In some cases, all it takes is a simple letter notifying someone they owe the county. And in others, deputies Cole and McCleve go on a manhunt.
We'll talk to them, ask them if they have the funds, if they can take care of it, advise them they do have the arrest warrant.
But their goal isn't to arrest you. They want to make sure you pay off your fines.
Putting the person in jail, like I said, doesn't pay the fine, and spending time in jail costs taxpayers money.
In Phoenix, Crystal Story, Cronkite News.
The amount of money these men are collecting is increasing every day, so the old-fashioned route of collecting your fines in prison is paying off.
Well, you know what I'm after? I'm after some sunshine, Marissa. So what's it like outside today?
Well, you're in for some luck, Ashton. If we take a look at a live view outside in downtown Phoenix, you can see just that plenty of sunshine that we've seen all day. What a beautiful fall day. And we even got some viewer photos in today. If we take a look at our first viewer photo from Lindsay Ivins, you can see ASU downtown Phoenix and those clear blue skies from earlier today. And we're even seeing color in the high country. Viewer Tabitha Peterson sent this photo in from Payson showing those beautiful fall yellow leaves leaves. Now, right now, we're sitting at 81 degrees in Phoenix with those sunny skies. Humidity is 13%. And all around the valley, we're seeing highs in the 70s and 80s. 80 in Scottsdale, you're 81 in Sky Harbor and Chandler. Now, we're seeing those relatively normal temperatures because we are sitting under a dry air mass. Unlike most of the country, you can see that that system that dropped 2 inches in San Antonio is moving all the way up to New York. Now, that is going to provide heavy rainfall and even some flooding in the area through the weekend. Now, I am tracking a weak disturbance from the Seattle area. It's going to increase wind speeds through tomorrow night, but right now we're just sitting at 6 miles per hour. In Phoenix, they're at 14 miles per hour in Bullhead City, and we're going to see well below freezing temperatures in the high country. You're going to be 23 at the Grand Canyon, 34 in Flagstaff. We'll bottom out at 58 here in Phoenix, and they will be 50 in Tucson. Now, we'll top out at 83 degrees overnight. We will see those breezy conditions through the Thursday night, and we will continue to have plenty of sunshine in 80s, and we will top out for a nice warm weekend. That's it for your forecast. I'm Marissa Scott, Cronkite Weather.
Coming up on Newswatch.
Did you miss the Americans' stunning soccer comeback last night? We've got the highlights. And we all know the postseason is important to fans and the players, but how does missing the playoffs affect the local economy? We'll show you next.
Tell him what's in your heart.
That's all ahead on tonight's News Hour.
Miss this for the world.
It's Judgment Day for a pair of baseball's top teams. At the top of the hour, the Detroit Tigers will look to regain control of the ALCS from the Boston Red Sox. But in the NLCS, the St. Louis Cardinals were looking to close out the Los Angeles Dodgers this afternoon. Could the Dodgers stage a comeback fit for Hollywood? The Dodgers turned to co-ace Zach Greinke, but he wasn't the story today. Tied in the third and liftoff, Adrian Gonzalez hits the first Dodger home run of the series all the way to Disneyland, and they never looked back. 2 innings later, Carl Crawford steps to the plate, and he's going to go big fly. It's his 4th of the postseason. The Dodgers would hit 4 home runs in this one. They hold on to win it 6-4. Game 6 is in St. Louis on Friday evening. After missing the playoffs for the 2nd straight year, the Diamondbacks continued cleaning house. Hitting coach Don Baylor was allowed to take the same position with the Los Angeles Angels today, creating a 3rd coaching void in the last week. While the team's recent struggles has impacted the coaching staff, reporter Ryan Foote found out if those same struggles influence the local economy.
Base hit down the line, that's a fair ball.
Pro sports teams are a crucial component of downtown Phoenix's economy.
On sports days, a vast majority of our business is because of that sporting event that's going on.
A successful team can lead to a successful business.
Playoffs, obviously, in this business and as close as we are to the stadium, a lot of times we go as the teams go.
Making the postseason might be the first step towards a championship, but it is one of the last when it comes to making a budget.
I mean, you certainly put your pen in place. You hope that you're going to make the postseason, but you can't rely on it for revenues.
As much as fans and business owners wish for a postseason berth, it is not the most important element to a successful season.
Having a relatively successful core season, even if you don't make it to the playoffs, generates way more revenue and activity than you'd get out of a few playoff games.
And for teams like the D-backs, while they know wins will get them into the playoffs, they also know that those wins will have a payoff as well.
That final month of the season when we were battling for a postseason spot and we're trying to get into the playoffs, your attendance is going to be higher each and every game in September.
Success means that more people come, maybe 10,000 people come from every extra game. Over an 81-game baseball season, that's another 8.1 million people turning up.
Whatever team you root for, chances are the business owners will do the same.
We love being a part of those organizations and doing whatever we can to support those organizations and those fans.
And owners know how passionate fans in Phoenix can be.
They really get into it, and everyone loves a winner.
In downtown Phoenix, I'm Ryan Foote, Cronkite Sports.
A baseball team usually has to make it at least 2 rounds to turn a profit in the playoffs, but when teams do make the postseason, local businesses are the first to reap the benefits. The Coyotes were looking to stretch their winning streak to 4 last night, but Jason Spezza and the Ottawa Senators had other plans. In the third, Spezza puts Ottawa on top, the captain with the rare true hat trick. The Yotes didn't give up the fight, though. Late in the game, Oliver Ekman-Larsson unloads from the point. He'll send the game into OT, but the Senators wouldn't be denied. Corey Conacher's left unmarked. He makes the Yotes pay. Ottawa picks up the win 4-3. And from a late loss to a last-minute stunner, did you see this last night? World Cup qualifying, the U.S. and Panama trailing 2-1 in stoppage time. Graham Zusi brings the Americans even with a gorgeous header. But the Stars and Stripes weren't done. Just seconds later, it's Aaron Johansson. He shows some great patience. He beats the keeper from the top of the box from distance. The U.S. with a shocking comeback win. Look at the heartbreak as Panama is eliminated from World Cup contention.
Wow, so Panama obviously didn't have a good day, but United States is looking great, right?
Yeah, they are. They're in first place in the CONCACAF group, and they're looking like they're going to win it. Already guaranteed a spot in the World Cup.
Wow, congrats to them. And that's it for Cronkite News Watch tonight.
Thanks for joining us, and have a good evening.